Hey guys, welcome to the shop today. We're going to start off this week with a project known as a rubber bridge. You're like, what's a rubber bridge? So we're going to replace the bridge in here. This is an old Kingston guitar from the 70s that a guy had laying around. So it's a spare guitar. We're going to take it and do something completely different, change the sound. We're going to replace that bone piece with a piece off of this rubber block. And that's going to become the saddle. And that gives it a dark, muted, kind of a soft tone. And while we're at it, it's missing the nut from the guitar, so we're going to put a bone nut on there. We're going to go over the frets and level the frets and just really fix it up and turn it into something instead of just a thing that was laying in the back of his closet. It's going to be a new sound. So we'll get going on that and let you see the process. So we were getting started into this, and of course the first thing obviously is to remove this saddle piece. And upon doing that, we noticed, hey, there's some bolts on here. Usually, this is an adjustable bridge. Usually there's some little thumb screws. So this has actually got some bolts. And then when he started inspecting it, found these gigantic nuts that hold the bolt in, and they clearly was not there from the factory. This was something that was added in. Probably they lost the original part. So that is actually under there. Definitely does not belong there. So we decided, instead of just doing this piece, I'm gonna pull all of that out and just cut a whole rubber piece in there to cover up the holes, because when these come out, there's gonna be two big holes in the bridge. Sometimes you run into this stuff when you're working on projects. You find things that didn't belong and you have to have a plan B. So plan B it is. So yeah. Crazy. So we get all that out now, and there's a pretty good size space in there. First I was just going to cut something the size of the saddle. Now I'm going to cut something that completely covers all that up. So I'm going to need to measure this since it's a little bigger than normal. Looks like it's right at about 2 millimeters. We got the rubber block here, and I get to finally pull out my Japanese saw. Success. Now we gotta sand it to the right thickness and the right height. So we got the bridge cut, and in here it's not perfectly sized yet. I have to determine the radius of the curvature of this. So I'm going to measure the radius of the fingerboard, and because you want those two things to do. So got out my little radius gauge. We'll put it on there, and it's looking like a 12-inch radius. So we've got to take this and match that up. So you can see it's got some gaps here and there. So we're gonna sand this down to a 12-inch radius. So next thing, well, before I put the nut on, is we're gonna go ahead and level and crown these frets. I'm sure they need it. So we got it all finished up and started stringing it, and then the bridge started lifting up. So now we gotta remove the bridge, glue it up and clamp it, let it sit a couple of days, and then finish it up. Sometimes that's the way it is. So we've got the bridge off now and cleaned off the glue, and I'm gonna re-glue it, clamp it up, and move back to where we were. So anyway, stay tuned. So I'm clamping it up, and I'm gonna put 2 more clamps in this area just to give it some extra pressure, but it'll do fine. I just did 2 of these this last week, same kind of situation, and they turned out fine. Not an uncommon problem at all. Switching over to a razor blade, I don't want to mess up with the shape of the bridge. I feel like that sandpaper was going to affect the shape a little bit. So I got the nut on, and now I'm lowering the nut slots so we can get the action down. So we got it finished up here. Initially this was going to just be putting a rubber bridge on, but then we ran into some problems. The bridge started pulling up, needed some fret leveling, a new nut, etc., etc. But it's all wrapped up.